Testing, testing. Can you all hear me in the back? You guys are all good? Okay. Why don't we go ahead and get started? Thank you all for being here today. Appreciate you very much on this beautiful day, gathering here and taking time to talk about the mission and ministry that is Florida Presbyterian Homes. I'm going to start leading us with prayer. As many of you know, Etta is at a conference, so I will cover Etta's prayer as well as the sections that Etta's responsible for, and then we'll go through the agenda as normal. All right. With that, let us pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing us to gather here in your chapel at Florida Presbyterian Homes. In everything we do as individuals, in everything we do as a ministry and a mission, in everything that we do and consider in our lives, in our workplace, in our residence, among our family and friends, let us always know that you are present. And let us be considerate in that knowledge of your presence that you give us strength and you give us wisdom. And we need to be open to that strength and wisdom that only comes through you. Continue to be with us. Assist those who are struggling as they're addressing challenges in life, whether they be physical, emotional, cognitive. Be with us. Be with us, be with them. In your name we pray, amen. So with that, I see a birthday girl, and I would like to, I won't sing happy birthday because it'll clear this room faster than, I was telling Tasha the other day, I sing like Frankenstein. It's not good. So will our birthday girl please come up and let's acknowledge our birthday girl. How are you?
I bring good news again.
Amen.
And Carol asked me the other day, do you have to work on your birthday? I said, no, I get to work on my birthday. I get to be with all of you that I love so much. And I'm thrilled to be here. Year-to-date life occupancy fee moved in is $3,166,900. We have contracted and scheduled to move in $635,500. Contracts pending, awaiting medical reports, $216,000. So that's contracted and contracts pending, $851,500. And when those move in, if everything goes as planned, we will be at $4,018,400, which is $1,633,400 more than last year total, year to date. We have scheduled move-ins. Mary Acevedo is moving into 804 Lakeside Court. We're installing a new kitchen there. Dr. Alan Harvey, 802 Lakeside Court, the roof made there. There's a termite tent there. We're going to put a new sunroom on the back of that one. Ansley Kilgore is moving into Studio B201 upstairs Friday. And Allison Braun is moving in 543 Terrace Gardens Drive. We also sold Cody's house. We got the keys to Cody's house. We sold it in 5 minutes. And we have the coolest dogs moving in there. They are agility trained, beautiful, Aussie, what are they, Aussie Shepherds? They are so cool, they are so smart, and they happen to live next door to me right now practically because if you go past Eaglebrook, they live in the next house on the left. She's moving in, she's 62. Her sister's on the waiting list. She can't move in for 2 years when she's 62. So the teenagers are moving in. We have 36 transfers on site. We've had 22 move-ins. We have a notice to vacate of a 2-bedroom apartment. We've had 20 deaths this year. I have 1 house, 1 duplex, and 1 triplex unsold. 2 of those being shown later this week, so I'm hopeful. And that one duplex is going to get a new sunroom, so we're still probably 10 weeks deep on that occupancy for that one. And we have 8 apartments unsold. So, thank you.
Thank you, Cher. Appreciate you and Susan and the team that is working to make sure that we're adding people to this mission and ministry. We're not here to serve empty rooms and empty houses. So it's a blessing every time we have somebody join our community as a resident. So thank you. And we're also grateful to the marketing team that we've been utilizing, who've been generating leads, which is important. If you don't have leads, you don't have sales. And we need to make sure that we continue to grow our lead base and our wait list. And that's been a critical effort under Tasha's leadership. And it's great to have somebody the quality of Cher to be able to turn over leads to turn into sales. So we're very appreciative of the full effort and the effort of Rick and his team to turn the units around effectively. So thank you and happy birthday. Thank you. I'm going to move some things around. I'm very grateful for Dr. Haight, our medical director, to be here today. I know that he's on a schedule, so I would like to ask Dr. Haight to come up and talk a little bit about COVID, RSV, some seasonal flu, and Katie will cover seasonal flu as well in detail about the clinics, and then Siobhan will talk about COVID here on the campus. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Daniel Haight.
Well, I'm here because COVID is declining, so they let me out of the hospital. So we are seeing fewer cases. In general, we're about an 890-bed facility, and we've been running in the last few months around at the most 40 cases of COVID. It's down in the teens now, so it's relatively low numbers, and those are sometimes incidental cases, meaning the person came in with something else, like a car crash or a heart attack, and incidentally discovered they had COVID, and it may not even be an active infection. So the numbers are low and declining. We know with the colder weather, people travel maybe a bit more. We could be prepared for some cases going back up again, and so there is a new vaccine coming available, so I'll mention that. I also want to introduce Cindy Brown, who works with me at Lakeland Regional Health, and Cindy is assisting me there. Thank you, Cindy. Wealth of information, and also shares the same focus in prevention with education and in prevention by taking time to look for, well, what's the important questions you have, what are the things we can look at. So let's say with COVID, there was the original vaccine, which there were a few choices, but in general, that vaccine was designed to fight the virus that was back a few years ago. Over time, the germ has changed, and now the virus has basically changed enough that even if you had caught it in the past or had been vaccinated, you could get it again. So we probably have all known some folks that have either caught it twice or been vaccinated and caught it once or twice. So here in the next few weeks, should be available a vaccine that is called bivalent, meaning 2. They'll have the original vaccine, but it also has an updated version in it that helps prepare for what's currently circulating. So we're waiting to make sure that that's available. If you haven't had one in the last couple months, that's where we'd recommend to get it. Also recommend for folks that are younger to get it, because this is something that they may not get as sick, but the vaccine can help them not catch it or not spread it, and of course not get as sick. So we do encourage younger folks, because they don't want to spread it over to somebody who's more vulnerable. So those are available, and we recommend getting that vaccine. Now, the same as his little story is also true with the flu virus. That's a tricky virus. It changes itself every year. And that's why it's hard for our own immune system and last year's vaccine to protect us enough. So they redesign it each year. How do they do that? Well, here it's been summertime, right? We're just getting out of summertime. Well, down in Australia and down in South America, they've just gone through their winter. It's their flu season they're just getting out of. The flu that's down there gets on a little airplane, flies its way up to us, and so we can predict about now, a few months ago, what type of flu changes have occurred. And we design the vaccine based upon those changes in the southern hemisphere. So that's why they design it. I always say now's about the time to get the flu vaccine, so that's coming your way. I think you've all gotten some information on when it's going to be available here in a few weeks. And that's certainly not only encouraged here, that we do have the higher dose available, because as we get older, our immune systems don't respond as strongly, so they've adjusted the vaccine to be a little more potent. So they have, that's what's going to be available. But for, again, everybody from the age of 6 months old and higher is recommended to get the flu vaccine each year. And again, it's also helpful not to spread it. You know, for a 2 or 3 year old, to spread it around in daycare and school and to the parents, to the grandparents, to the uncles, it's good to try to keep that under control. Quite a few hospitalizations come out of the flu. There's a new vaccine they're just bombarding the television with. What's that one? I'm tired of those commercials. They show playing sports. I didn't even know. I thought the ball rolled. I didn't. You know, she tosses the ball and it lands in the sand. I get, what's that called? Bocce ball? I thought it rolled.
I thought so too.
All right. Well,
Maybe
that's
I've
one of the
been playing
commercials if you haven't seen it. So that vaccine is out there if you're over the age of 60. RSV has been around for a long time. There's different versions of it, but it causes a really bad cold. And they noticed for little babies, especially the ones that were born premature, their lungs didn't quite develop all the way when they were born, so they had to be really careful with them. They catch RSV, they could die. So they do special things for those little babies. Now there's a vaccine for it, but the rest of us would catch RSV and it would be a bad cold. They have noticed as we get older, that bad cold can turn into pneumonia, could turn into other problems of getting enough oxygen. So a vaccine that can prevent it. Now, good news is they're really hoping this prevents it more than a year. It might be 2 years or more. They're just recommending one vaccine. So that's the RSV. That's one I would just talk to your doctor about. Ask, get opinions, talk to your pharmacist. I know it's available in the pharmacies, but if you want some more advice, like, is this really meant for me? Or like you might have a son or a daughter who's 61 years old. Should they get it? And that's sort of the point, is to try to prevent catching it, so not only you do better, you don't infect somebody else and they don't do better, don't do well with it. Yes? So the question, is it covered by Medicare? I believe it is. But that's a very good question. I always confirm that, especially me when I went out and got my shingles vaccine. I was like, is it covered? And it did slow me down in line when I was at the pharmacy getting it, because I wanted that question double checked. And they can do that for you, because I think it just, not relying on just my educated guess, is that I would confirm that, because that's a big issue. I was going to play a little practical joke today. I was going to say that at 2:20 today, I'm going to call you. You might not think I don't have your telephone number, but I am going to call you at 2:20 this afternoon. And if you don't get it, you'll get it at 2:20. So I'll keep that a surprise. But be thinking of me at 2:20, okay? Be thinking of me. Lastly, it was, I guess it was if you had any questions, but also, again, I mentioned the shingles vaccine, age 50 and above. They had an older version of it, and I actually met a family, and I'm not sure I fully agreed with them, but I met a family who was upset that their loved one had the old version of the shingles vaccine, and they didn't get the newer version that came out a few years ago. And there they were in the hospital with a pretty bad case of shingles. Shingles is a virus that came out of chickenpox when you caught it as a kid, and it hides in you, and then it comes out in only one nerve, like a nerve that comes around the chest or a nerve that goes down the leg. It's only on one side. It can be very painful because the nerve it is hiding in all these years is a sensory nerve. So it causes abnormal sensations of pain and tingling. Well, this person had it up here, and it really started to feel like it was a heart attack until the rash showed up. And so they were thinking shoulder pain, shoulder injury, chest problems, and then boom, the rash showed up right here. And the question would be, yes, I believe that person, if they had gotten the newer version of the shingles vaccine, it's a very successful vaccine, so I'm pretty sure they wouldn't have gotten it. You can get shingles twice, and they can also have shingles up in the face. And so if you get shingles up by the eye, and all you have to do is Google shingles of the face, and that will be convincing enough that it looks like a burn on the face, but if it involves the eye, it's an emergency. It has to be treated in the hospital. Yes? Mm-hmm.
If I had shingles last month, do I need to get a shingles vaccination?
So if you've already had the newest vaccine and you've gotten the 2 doses, the answer would be no. You know, it's something. Yeah, and then so folks that have had shingles and are not fully protected, you wait till it heals up, and then you get the vaccine. I always say ask your doctor, but typically, if somebody's never had the shingles vaccine and they get their first case of shingles, I say let's get you over the hard part, and once you're feeling that you're recovered, go out and get the shingles vaccine started. So yes, generally yes, but there may be, again, you know, since we're in a large group, there may be unique situations that would change that advice. So you just double check with the doctor. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Is there any tests that you can take if you don't remember or you don't know if you have it? Is there any way that you find out?
Yeah, they're generally, we know that if you've never had chicken pox, you're not going to get shingles, but you could get chicken pox, so there is a vaccine for chicken pox. The good news is almost all of us have had chicken pox. And then the question that you have is, can I tell that I'm protected? And it's yes, there is a blood test, but generally they don't recommend it because they know that the vaccine they're currently giving is highly successful. If you don't remember if you've gotten the most current one, there is a state database that keeps track of vaccines. It might be in there. If it's not, which it is not, there is an antibody test that can take to see if you have antibodies to it. The doctor might say, but you know, to go through that and wait and the expense of it's probably better just to get the vaccine in that case. So they may want to walk you through that because you've got a couple decisions to make. There's pros and cons to that. Yes. Any other questions? Yes.
Is it okay to get the COVID booster and the flu shot at the same day?
Yes, in fact, you can get the RSV, COVID, and flu. I wouldn't, but yes, you can get these at the same time. Your immune system is marvelous. When I hear about some of the folks, and we currently have our Surgeon General saying some pretty misinformation right now, is that your immune system is marvelous. When you were a kid, you were picking up cheese off the floor and eating it. You were being exposed to all these germs. It can handle many things at once. So getting a shot of COVID vaccine and then remember the flu vaccine has 4 different types of flu in it. You know, there's influenza A and there's influenza B. The flu shot has 2 types of influenza A and 2 types of influenza B. And your immune system's been, 1 billion people have been vaccinated with that over the last 10 years. So you can get them at the same time. Now, the reason I wouldn't is generally, I know that the flu shot I do pretty well with. Sometimes I get a sore arm. I sometimes want it in my right arm because I use my right arm. I can work it out. I don't sleep on my right arm. But a flu shot, I don't have any really effects. The first time you get a flu shot, I tell my younger patients, is the very first time, you might feel run down. But if you keep getting it, people tend to just get their flu shot and not have a problem with it. Everybody's a little different, but that's the general. COVID, on the other hand, that one is a really interesting and good vaccine, is it's getting your body to make what it needs to see for protection. And your body thinks it's a little mini infection, which it's not. You cannot catch COVID from the COVID vaccine, but it does, and in me, I get a little fever. I get a little run down. And in fact, my wife and I were just like, oh, we just don't want to do anything the next day. And I just suffer through it for a few hours, and then I checked with my doctor. I can take ibuprofen to help relieve the achiness, and then I'm great. Everyone's a little different, but for that reason, I don't want to take them both at the same time, because if I don't feel too good, I'd really like to know which one did it. Was it the flu vaccine or was it the COVID? So I separate it out. I get the flu shot, I wait about 3 days, flu shot didn't bother me, so I go ahead and get the COVID vaccine. So, very good. All right, very good. All righty, well, thank you very much. Again, I want to thank Siobhan and Joe for all their leadership and helping me through all this too. Yes, one question back here. Oh, sorry. So if you have are you referring to like an egg allergy? Yeah, so, there's a couple, if you're referring to can vaccines trigger allergies, is that that question, or?
No, what about taking the shots the same day if you have allergies?
Yes, again, it's another great reason to separate them out. And it's another thing where we try to vaccinate people when they come to the doctor's office when they're not feeling, good, because they're there. But I tell you, if you're really, really sick, don't get a vaccine. Get over with what you're sick with. If you've got a bladder infection, get that under control. Try to stay away from anybody who might have the flu and get it. And remember, when you get the flu vaccine or the COVID vaccine, it cannot protect you immediately. It takes a little time to work. You could get exposed to the flu in that period of time and catch it, or COVID. Also keep in mind that you may come down with just a bad cold, and you might think what caused it, and you might inadvertently think it was the vaccines, when no, it was just a coincidence. And then lastly, no vaccine works 100% of the time, although the shingles one pretty much does. COVID and flu doesn't always protect you, but it does help reduce the chance of being hospitalized. So those are why we recommend that.
Are there two shots involved in the shingles?
Yes, there is. They're separated by a couple months. And I remember I didn't feel good after the first one, and I wasn't looking forward to the second one, and it did the same thing. I had a low-grade fever, shaking chills, and then I took a medication for it, and it went away. But yes, 2 doses for the shingles. Yep. Great. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Haight. Now I'm going to invite our community nurse, AL Director of Nursing, Katie Gannon, up. And Katie's going to talk a little about the upcoming clinic.
Hello. We have a clinic coming up on October 30th from 10:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. right here in the chapel. You can get your consent from Carol at the Forward Bunker lobby and from Ann down in PMG, the Lakeside Avenue entrance. So you have to fill it out completely. And then it has to be back in by the 23rd. And then I have to fax it to Guardian. And if I don't have a vaccination form for you, you can't get a shot. The ALF people are getting their papers. They were already being taken care of yesterday. So there won't be anything for ALF to do at all. Okay? Pardon? Which shot? This is the flu shot, the flu clinic. And the COVID clinic will be sometime in November, but they said that the vaccine would not be available until the end of October. So.
The same thing apply for Port McGrath residents as ALF?
I believe so. I can't answer for them, so because I'm not over there.
Yes, Siobhan can answer. Yeah. They've-
Any other questions?
Katie,
Yes.
is that form to be filled out by employees and residents?
Yes, this staff and the residents and the staff can fill out the form as well. Okay? Joanne? Jay? You get it from, well, you're an AL, so it's okay. We've already taken care of the form. There's somebody's going to come around to talk to you about it. Okay? We're going to have it filled out for you completely. If you want to take the shot, take the vaccine. But we'll come and talk to you about it later today. All right. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Katie. So appreciate Dr. Haight and Katie being available to us today to talk about where we're at with COVID, what's going on with the vaccines, and answering some of your questions as well. So I'm going to call Tasha, our Associate Executive Director, up, and Tasha will give a report on life enrichment and assisted living. Tasha? Got it.
Hello, can you guys hear me on this? Yes, there we go. Hi there. So we just enjoyed some really fun Oktoberfest yesterday. So if you guys were a part of that, great job. Tomorrow, get your barbecue stomachs ready and your country hats ready. So tomorrow is Allison's Country Western Barbecue Dinner. Those did require an RSVP, and we are full. It filled up really quick. So we're looking forward to a full house tomorrow with our outfits, of course. Yes, Miss Cher.
We have a couple cancellations, so if somebody wants to do the last minute reservation, they can call Allison.
Oh, the Cher is always coming with the good news. She said, Cher let us know that there's a couple cancellations. So if you didn't get your RSVP into the Western Barbecue, let us know, and we'll see if we can sneak you in. Very good. Next week is very important. It starts Clergy Appreciation. So I just kind of wanted to let you guys know that. We've got so many residents, and of course, the love of all of our lives, Miss Etta. So we'll just make sure to show them some extra love coming up next week. On the 12th of October, we are having the voter registration seminar. So they'll be able to register you, answer any questions, let you know everything there is to know. That's going to be 2 to 3:30, and it's going to be over by Miss Ann's desk. So she'll be ready over there, ready to get everybody registered. Moving forward into our November, our next chat will all be here again on November 1st, so I won't go too much into it, but something I'm particularly excited about is on the 18th, we're going to be doing another tea party. So I see a lot of faces that were at our first tea party, so we'll be doing that again for you guys. That'll be really fun. I will have a new outfit. So our assisted living occupancy, I'm going to do it based on units. So we have 43 units occupied out of 48 total. So that puts us around 90% right now. So we are looking to see that change. We've got some transitions in the works, as you guys know. So we'll be welcoming some new faces, hopefully pretty soon to AL. And that's all I have. Is there anything that you guys, yes, Miss Hervey. She asked when Vincent is coming. Vincent is our wonderful student that volunteers with us periodically with Bartow IB. He helps out with our tech stuff. So he typically comes on Sundays still, unless he lets me know sooner.
Okay, well, the list is now 2 weeks old, and there's no new list.
We will get that list updated for you. All right. So Mr. Sam is still by himself over there in the HD apartments by the dining room. So we'll take your application if somebody wants to keep him company. We're trying to find you some roommates. It's very convenient to go right to the dining room. So we've got some good reviews. So if you guys want to keep him company over there, let us know. We'll happily look for you. Yes, ma'am. Very good question. The question was the voter registration, will it deal with mail-in ballots? The answer is yes. Yes, ma'am. Yes. So your agenda does say about Christmas decorations. I am not privy to that knowledge. That is more of Miss Etta's domain. So she'll be giving us an update, and anything very relevant she'll be putting out in our newsletters and the Daily Scoop. Good question, Miss Buffy. Thank you. All right, everybody good. Next. Is it you, Siobhan? Okay. Siobhan, our beautiful PMG administrator. Yay.
Thank you, Tasha. Today in healthcare, our census is 48,000. That is 71%. We do have 4 admissions today and no planned discharges. So we should be making our way back up the ladder. We, in healthcare, we do a lot of training each month. So as something new, I thought that I would bring some information to you so that you could see kind of the training that we do with our staff. I know that's somewhat important, especially if you have a stay in PMG. So for the month of September, we did a few training, and we did it on standard precautions. We have new documentation that became into effect October 1 for the CNAs and nurses that document on our residents. So they received training on that specifically, on what the new rules are. We did charting as another in-service for the staff so that everybody knows what the regulations are. If you come in and you're short-term stay resident, there is certain guidelines that the state likes to see as far as documenting, charting on residents. That also helps with MDS and the billing part of it. So it all kind of fits together. We also did hand washing. We're getting into flu season, and of course we've had COVID now for 3 years. So every once in a while, we would just want to remind people that hand washing is important. And it kind of goes along with the standard precautions. So sometimes we admit people into the healthcare center that need isolation. And so there is different isolation types that depending upon what you're isolated for, the nurses need to know what type of isolation to put you on. So that goes along with the whole keeping everyone healthy and safe. Speaking of that, I wanted to give a little bit of an update on COVID. So we have had a few cases here lately. Currently, we have no residents with COVID, and we only have 1 staff person that is out currently for PMG with COVID, okay? So we have actually gone down. As Dr. Haight said, that seems to be the trend right now. I get a monthly report, or weekly, I think it's a weekly report from Polk County on the number of cases, and it dramatically has decreased. So that's a good thing, but like Dr. Haight said, we're going to start getting our snowbirds, and so they might be bringing stuff from up north to us. So it is important to protect yourself with the vaccinations. And this month, we're going on 19 months and counting for our annual survey. So I give you an update every month. We haven't had one yet. It's 19 months and counting. So they'll be here at some point. Okay, any questions? Oh, good question. I just did the numbers this morning for the last week. So from last Thursday to this Wednesday, we only had 16 hours of agency. So we are definitely decreasing our numbers. Our new nurses are doing great, and hopefully we will be able to keep it the way it is. You're welcome. Any other questions? Yeah. We do not have a time set up yet because they do not have it yet. Yeah, the pharmacy, I think, thinks they're going to have it by the end of the month. So more information will be coming out about that. You're welcome. Any other questions? Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Joe.
Okay, I'm going to give Etta's report. As Tasha was sharing, October is Clergy Pastor Appreciation Month, and we're blessed in our community to have so many people who are retired clergy or who had worked in lay ministry within their churches or on parish councils or doing fundraising for their congregations, for their churches. And so all are being honored, during the month of October. And that's one of the things that differentiates our community from a lot of other communities. The community communion and supper meal will be on Tuesday, October 12th, and the service will be at 3:45 here in the chapel, and dinner is free to all, and that will be at 5 p.m. in the main dining room. Please sign up with the hostess. That's really important. If you could please sign up with the hostess. But it's something for our entire community. Again, that's Tuesday, October 12th. It will be in the NRT and the Scoop. It'll be announced as well. But it'll be Tuesday, October 12th at 3:45 will be the chapel service here. And then at 5 o'clock will be in the main dining room. And that's open to all members of the community, all of our residents. Mike Williams, gospel comedian, will perform here in the chapel on Wednesday, October 25th. There'll be light refreshments following. Mike's ministry is that he is a founder of an extensive children's network in the Dominican Republic and a much sought-after entertainer. One of our residents who's on resident council has heard Mike before and had brought Mike forward as somebody that he felt you guys would really enjoy. So please, we will have more information in the Scoop about when the specific time, because I don't have that on here, but we'll get the specific time to you. But I hear he's very funny, so I may sit in on that just to laugh. The Joyful Singers will begin their practices and begin to sing for the second Sunday chapel services. So on second Sunday chapel services, the Joyful Singers will be joining the chapel for those services and will be entertaining us with beautiful song. So that is Etta's presentation. And let's see, we'll move forward with my report. There's a number of things I want to cover. We already covered the COVID update, and again, appreciate Katie and Dr. Haight and Siobhan for covering the information in the COVID update. I want to focus today on the Westminster Alliance and kind of update everybody as to where we're at. So the applications have been submitted to the Office of Insurance Regulation and the Agency for Healthcare Administration. So we're in the process now of being patient. And you'll see me kind of walking around saying, be patient, be patient. We assume we'll receive that sometime in November. We would assume that that would be the case. In the meantime, we have a management agreement with Westminster Services, and we have been working with the Westminster service team here on the campus since the signing of the affiliation agreement. And so you may see some people around the campus. They're meeting with people like Rick and myself and Siobhan and Tasha, and they're working with us to look at all of our operations and to assist us with any challenges that come up during this period. We're learning a lot from them. They're learning a lot from us. And I will share that Scott Kearns is our Regional Vice President of Operations for Westminster Services. I report directly to Scott. So in every week, Scott and I have a call on Thursday. Our management team is putting together a data sheet and information that we share with Scott on Thursday, and then he and I have a follow-up call. I think it's the next day we call, we touch base, and he's been a fabulous resource. There's a lot of things that, even though I've been in this field for almost 30 years, it's always good to learn how other organizations function and operate, and to get their tools and how they're doing things. And to be able to implement them here has made us better already as an organization. So that process is underway. In relation to that process, on the second floor of assisted living, we've been having an ongoing challenge to get the air conditioners in the resident apartments functional. Right now, and for the past few months, we've had window units providing air conditioning for the residents on the second floor of assisted living. Rick tried every resource that he had and contacts to try to get somebody to come out. These are called LG, is the brand, LG units. And what we're hearing from the providers that we've reached out to is that the systems are out of date and that they can't get the parts. So Rick contacted the VP of Construction Development over at Westminster. They came out with a team and met with Rick and I. Rick followed up with their resource person, and hopefully we're going to get an estimate this week. They believe that they can fix that system. So, you know, this is the kind of thing when you're part of a larger entity that has a deeper knowledge of the entire state of Florida and is able to connect us with resources that normally we wouldn't be able to connect with easily. So hopefully we'll get that estimate this week and follow it up with the work and get that resolved, because that's been a major issue. Another thing that we have been working on is the 4-bunker roof, primarily 4-bunker, also looking at Bauer Haynes. And so one of the resources that we had access to through Westminster was a vendor that they have who comes out and does roof inspections. That vendor has looked at the bids that we have. They like 2 of our bids and say these are good bids. So we'll move forward on the roof and get those addressed. We have some issues in 4-bunker, primarily 4-bunker, that we're seeing some leak, and we need to get that resolved. So we're looking forward to getting that done. But again, I just wanted to give you some ideas of how we're already working together and the value it has to you as residents, as well as the value it has to support our team. And again, it's been something where we're learning and they're learning. We've had an opportunity for Siobhan and I to go to their management team meeting. They have a management team meeting, I think it's 5 times a year. And in that management team meeting, they're bringing their executive directors and the administrators of their skilled care facilities together, along with the Westminster Services leadership team and management group, to be able to learn about different things. I shared a lot of what we learned, that Siobhan and I learned with our management team, and there's a lot of good things to come. And we just felt like we're in the right place, you know, we're where we should be. And so those things will continue to move forward. One of the things, and Deb had asked this question day before yesterday, about the timing of the fee increase. So you're usually, historically here, by October, we're presenting the budget to our board, and the board is voting on the monthly service fee increase. The fiscal year that Westminster is on is different. We're on a calendar fiscal year. Their fiscal year starts April 1st. So this year, in 2023, you will not be receiving a fee increase announcement like you normally do in November. The fee increase will come out 60 days in advance of April 1st. April 1st is the day that the fee increase will go into play. So just want to make sure everybody understands that. Normally, we do your monthly fee in the budget in October and announce it to you in November after the October board meeting. That will not happen this year. In order to get aligned with the fiscal year for Westminster, which starts April 1st, the announcement will come out 60 days in advance of April 1st. Any questions on that? Okay, just wanted to get that, to communicate that. Dr. Haight made a joke about 220. I hate to ruin his joke. Is everybody aware of what's going to happen at 220? Raise your hand if you're not, because I don't want you to be scared. Oh, okay. So just at 220, our federal government, in their infinite wisdom, will be doing an emergency announcement that will be blasted through all technologies. So your phone's going to go off, your laptop may go off, your toilet may go off. Everything's going to be going off at that time. So don't be alarmed. Don't be afraid. It is just our federal government doing what they do best, making a lot of noise. So that's going to happen at 2:20. Hopefully we'll be out of here by then. Otherwise, it's going to be really loud in here. So without any further ado, what I'd like to do is introduce Scott, who again is the Regional Vice President of Operations. He is my boss. I'm reporting to Scott, and I'm enjoying working with Scott. I'm learning a lot from him and the team. He's been very gracious to me and to our team. And he will also be introducing Mario DeLuca, who is Resident Experience. He's the Vice President of Resident Experience. And Mario will come up and say a few words as well. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Scott. There you go.
Perfect. Thank you, Joan. Hello, everyone. And how many, it's almost 3 weeks to the day. It actually was 3 weeks tomorrow that we came, the leadership team from Westminster. How many attended by show of hands? I figured quite a few did. So since some did not, I'll just reintroduce myself. I'm Scott Cairns. I'm the Regional Vice President, as Joe had mentioned. I've been with Westminster coming on 19 months. I have a background in nursing home administration prior to that. And for the last 8.5 years before coming to Westminster, I managed a community over in Vero Beach, which is where I live, Sebastian area, Sebastian on the East Coast. It's called Indian River Estates, so it's right off Route 60 as you go straight east until you run into the water, and it's right by I-95 over there. Really nice community, really enjoyed myself there, but saw a great opportunity with Westminster to take on a larger role and hopefully impact more team members and residents. So that's why I joined the team, and I've really been enjoying myself. But I want to echo what Joe has been saying. The partnership thus far, in my view, has gone great. Working with Joe and Tasha and Siobhan and many of the other leaders within the community just to assess, collaborate, see where we as a group think that things can be improved. Can't do them all at once, but slowly but surely we'll start implementing new programs, patterns, et cetera, to keep the community moving forward, profitability-wise, and what we can offer the residents and team members. That's number one key for us. Challenges, there are many. There are many in every community. And working with Joe and your team here, we're identifying those opportunities to improve, prioritizing them. And Joe mentioned a couple of them, an air conditioning unit, some roofing, all very important. You may have other priorities that you think are more important, but when it comes to water leaking and other things like that, that takes really top priority with us, safety of residents and team members. So we'll continue to move forward with tackling the challenges and overcoming the challenges and opportunities that we foresee. Mark talked about prioritizing. Our goal also is to live our missions, to work together with your team to live our common missions, because both organizations have very similar missions. You know, we're faith-driven. We want to do what's best for our residents and team members, and we want to do it as quickly as possible, but as fiscally responsible as possible too. So we'll continue to do that working with Joe and the team. Executive Director update. So I am part of the team that has been interviewing for possible executive directors for the community, so that Joe, when he will be able to move on to help be partner with me and Mario up at CSS, Community Support Services in Orlando. So we've had probably about 6 interviews thus far. We're narrowing it down. We hope to have an executive director in place and ready to start and be able to work with Joe for a while before he commutes to Orlando. So that's all I can share right now, but we're getting some good candidates and we're appreciative of that. Before I introduce Mario, any particular questions for me? I'll be around, you'll see me, I can't hide. And if you see me hit my head on a doorway and fall down, help me up. Because I do notice some doorways aren't as tall as others. Go ahead, yes.
Are the residents going to be able to express what we think the weaknesses are?
Absolutely. So the question was, are the residents going to be able to express their wishes, desires, opportunities they see for improvement? I encourage you to see Joe and others, whoever you would in your in the community now, and absolutely. And Joe will compile a list, and we'll work together to address those as well, and give updates on what we are doing. That's going to be key as well as we move forward. Improvements that we are making, but yes, we definitely want your input. So I do have my reservation for tomorrow night, so I will see you at the Western. I brought my boots, so I've got to really duck my head even more. And my wife is going to be joining me as well, so we're looking forward to it. And Joe said, well, in reality, I guess, you know, your increase, if there is one, which there will be, I have no idea the amount, so don't ask me that. But it won't happen January 1st, but it'll happen April 1st, so you save a few months of dollars, right? Hopefully the government doesn't take that back at $220 with whatever we're going to get. Anything else? Please feel free, and residents have been. When you see me out and about, stop me, ask questions. If I don't have an answer, I will get you an answer. Yes, sir. Yes, organizational chart I will be sending to Joe. I sent Joe an email when I was asked that earlier today, just for him to remind me later via email, and I'll get an organizational chart to Joe, and he can do with it as he pleases, or just make copies and make them available for someone to pick up. We will. All right, I'm pleased to introduce Mario DeLuca. He is our Vice President of Resident Experience, and he's a great speaker. You're in for a treat.
Oh, he set me up. He set me up. Well, good afternoon, everyone. As Scott and Joe had said, my name is Mario DeLuca. I'm the Vice President of Resident Experience for Westminster, and I've been with Westminster for 9 years. I'm a graduate of the Culinary Institute of America. My degree is through Rutgers University in New Jersey. So you could tell I have a New Jersey accent, right? You could tell that. Prior to coming to Florida, I was living in Toms River, New Jersey, right on the Jersey Shore. And living now in Central Florida without having either the Gulf or the ocean, you know, it's problematic, but I absolutely love living in Florida. So I've been in the industry, in the hospitality industry, for over 35 years. This is the only thing I've ever done. I'm the kid that rushed off the bus to go watch Julia Child and the Galloping Gourmet at 12 years old because I loved food. Where did I learn that from? Through my grandmothers and my mom. Watching them cooking, asking them questions. Why'd you do that? How come you're doing this? Ooh, is that temperature too high? You want me to stir it? That would be me. So it's something that I knew that I absolutely loved. As I said, I'm with Westminster for 9 years. The department that my team supports would be dining, lifestyle, and I believe you all call it life enrichment, volunteers, the volunteer department, and if that wasn't busy enough, I also have group purchasing for the whole system. So I manage the contracts with big organizations like with our food distributor, our med supply distributor. So I'm the guy that gets to point at someone else and saying, look, read this contract. You're not doing this, you're not doing that. And I hit them up for savings. So what I've been doing and what I've been working on is this, is I'm assessing. I don't go in saying, okay, you're doing this right, you're doing this wrong. I'm just observing. I'm talking to the dining team. I want to get to know the dining team. I want to see what they think. I also want to see what kind of foods we're putting out. How good is the food? How consistent is the food? Are we recipe compliant? Are we ingredient compliant? What are our opportunities? And I bet you if I were to sit with every single one of you, there would be threads. There would be threads of things you might say, from the things that are really, really good at what we do to the things, we probably could be putting more effort into that particular area. So where Westminster comes from is everything starts with what we call the voice of the resident. So when we create our menus, it's purely from the voice of the resident. We want to know through our dining committees or through comment cards or what we call touching tables, that when we go into your dining rooms and we say, so how's your meal today? We hear feedback. The one thing that I will always tell you, you will see me in the building periodically. I'm not going to be here every day, sometimes every week, but I live 45 minutes away from here. When I'm in the dining room, if you see me in the building, stop me and say, hey, by the way, I'd like to share this with you. And there's a bunch of you that have already done it today. So I got a pretty good earful, and I appreciate that. I really do. I appreciate that because we have to hear the details. Because and here's the other thing, if you say, you know what, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. They work so hard, and they do work hard. But if we need to be doing things better, then we need to know that. The one thing I'll tell you, as I said, 9 years I'm with Westminster. My mom was a resident of ours at the Towers of Orlando for 4 years. So she lived in a Westminster community. I heard, although I've always known it, taking care of the customer is absolutely critical, regardless of who that customer is. But I also know that I heard a different perspective when I sat with my mom and talked things through. So what you will find is that I don't come from this position of everything is great, everything's fine, or everything's bad and everything needs to change. It's got to be this tempered approach, observations, and involvement from all of you. So, so what you'll see is that I'm very passionate about food. I'm passionate about your lifestyle and your experience while you live within our community. And also, our goal is to make you as healthy as possible so that you live your best life, that you decide is your best life. We're not going to come to you and saying, oh, by the way, you should be eating boiled chicken, boiled potatoes, and broccoli. Our job is to give you options. There might be a morning you feel like a piece of fried chicken, then there'll be times where, you know, I want to eat a little healthier today. So our goal is to give you that type of flexibility and having a menu that is suited for this particular community. So we don't approach it where it's a one size fits all. We approach it in a much grander, much larger, more focused at the same time. So I didn't even look at my notes. That wasn't bad. That wasn't bad. So I guess before I step off, because I don't want to leave that opportunity, does anybody have any questions for me? I know that's a loaded question. Hey, Debbie.
Hey, so does group purchasing also include like Spectrum?
I don't have Spectrum. That would be with our IT department, and I'm thankful I don't have that contract. Thank you, Debbie. All right, thank you. That was awesome, because I really was getting prepared. All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mario. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. All right. So with that covers everything on the agenda here, but questions and comments. Any questions, comments, anything we didn't cover that you'd like us to cover? Anything you guys want to touch base on? Please.
One of the things we've been wondering is supporting you is what's happening next to you. Scott still
Okay. So the last time we met, I had shared that that Westminster had offered me an opportunity, and I was allowed at that point to share that. And today, there was an announcement that went out internally to Westminster that was copied me on that announced the title and the position. So it's something that over the past few weeks, I've been learning more and more about and had accepted the position. It's Vice President of Housing and Services for the Rental Residential Housing Program. So it's an area that has always been a passion for me. From the day I started in this field at Friendship Village in Schaumburg, I realized that continuing care retirement communities, for the most part, are for the more affluent older adults. And the reason for that is the cost of health care, the cost of labor primarily in health care. And that certainly has gone up significantly over the past 2 years. So it wasn't that that is not a worthy mission. That is a worthy mission. Anytime you can serve any human being, that is a worthy mission. But my heart was always looking and saying, what about those people who have moderate incomes? Or what about those people who have lower incomes? And that was always something in every place that I've been. I've worked with the board and worked with leadership to say, we're faith-based Christian organizations. How do we extend our values if we're not extending those values to people of moderate means? And I just felt like there was a disjoint. And it's within our field. It isn't a disjoint that's a location of one organization over another. This is the field that we're in, life plan communities, continuing care retirement communities, by virtue of the model, is geared towards more affluent older adults. So for me, I've really enjoyed the opportunities I've had to build programs and services to serve those who may not have the financial means. And so when this opportunity presented itself, I did not foresee it. It was something I've been praying about, and you guys have heard me, some of you have heard me talk about, that I'm not worried about this transition. From the very beginning, I felt this was the right thing for the organization. But I was sitting there, and my wife said to me, the last time you left an organization, you were very stressed. I said, I don't see that. I don't see that stress. And I said, the difference is I know this is the right thing for the organization and the people. I didn't know that that was the case the last place I worked. So that is what was different. And I put it in God's hands. And I just feel very, very blessed to have the opportunity to serve at Westminster for the people who are of more moderate means. So that is what, that's what, appreciate that. Other comments, questions, thoughts, concerns, ideas? Okay, so if Scott does a hoedown, somebody get it on film. That's all I ask. Somebody get it on film. So thank you all for being here. Appreciate you. Have a good evening.